It was this amazing story that was all over the newspapers in France because the robbers were given the nickname of the sewer gang by the papers.
Sewer gang.
The sewer gang.
Would you be proud of that? Would you wade through sewage to rob a bank up to your nose?
I would probably wade through sewage for £2 million if I knew that I wasn't going to be put in prison afterwards. But he had a cunning way of testing it. He wanted to put an alarm clock inside his deposit box and set it for the middle of the night when he knew no one would be in there.
Brilliant idea. How many cups a day are you on?
Well, I don't know. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon now, and I think I've had 6, maybe.
Oh my God, I would be in hospital. Yeah. Hello and welcome to the British English Podcast, the show that helps you better understand British English and British culture. And today we have a guest on the show called Alastair from English Learning for Curious Minds. And we've got a fun one today. We're going to be learning all about a bank robbery back in the day in Nice in France. So let's say hello to the guest. Alastair, hello, how are you?
I am very well. How are you doing, Charlie?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, I've had my first caffeinated coffee in the last month. So I'm feeling quite jittery, actually. It's amazing. So I had a month of decaf just to test whether I'm quite bad at metabolizing caffeine. And it turns out I am. It's the reason that I've had sleepless nights over the years. And now I've just had a caffeinated coffee. I can really feel it.
You're back and ready to roll.
Yeah, exactly.
You went cold turkey and it wasn't for you.
Exactly. Well, I think I'm going to utilize it a bit more like a drug. Like when I really want to be efficient and productive, I'll use it, and then I'll have decaf when I don't feel like I need to be so on it.
Okay. Yeah. I think if we continue along the drug classifications, I'm probably a high functioning addict.
Oh, okay. How many cups a day are you on?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
countless.
Many. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon now, and I think I've had 6, maybe.
Wow, 6! Oh my God, I would be in hospital. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my body just seems to metabolize it quite quickly.
Yeah,
I don't have any issues going to sleep. Quite the opposite.
Okay.
So,
nice.
Yeah, there we go.
Do you feel comfortable with having 6 a day, or do you feel like you should cut back a bit?
Do you know, I've been doing this for quite a long time, I think, and my wife is always claiming that I'm doing some terrible damage to myself, and that I won't ever be able to sleep or anything like that. But
yeah,
it's not true in terms of not being able to sleep, and it doesn't really have a vast effect on me. And I really like the taste. So until I drop dead or can't get to sleep forever, then I'm going to keep going.
Sorry to butt in right now, mid-conversation, but you were just exposed to a lovely phrase, and I want to teach you that phrase properly. To do so, I've created a PDF covering the definition, example sentences, context in which natives use it, which is really valuable for you, collocations, meaning the words that natives use before and after a phrase, and then a couple of good quiz questions to help lock that phrase in to your long-term memory. With this knowledge, you will go from having heard a new phrase to being 110% confident in using it when speaking English yourself. And this PDF is not just covering one phrase, but 10 phrases from this very conversation. You can grab it by scanning the QR code on screen right now, or clicking the link in the description box or the pinned comment below. That link will take you to this page. Fill out your name and email to sign up to my mailing list, and then I'll send it directly to your inbox. Yeah. No, I did a little ChatGPT, and I think it is to do with metabolism in our genes. Like some of us metabolize it slow, some really fast. So I think if you're fine going to sleep and you have no problems, then have at it. Can you have an avocado? Is it avocado with the ice cream and the espresso shot for dessert?
An affogato, yeah.
Affogato, yeah.
Yeah, I do like those. But I slightly object to how they're like, I think if you were to go to a restaurant in the UK now, it's probably, what, £5 or £6 for something which is essentially just a shot of coffee and a scoop of ice cream.
That's true. Yeah, it's
They
has
are
inflated. Nice. But yeah, that is the easiest profit margin probably on the menu. Yeah, the biggest profit margin. Okay, so you don't like to spend too much, which is relating to the episode we did on your show, how you noticed how Peppa Pig, not the candy. Peppa Pig notices, or his dad notices, when it's too much money to be spending on something.
He does. Yeah, he's probably the sort of pig that would ask for a shot of espresso and a scoop of ice cream, and it's none of your business what I get up to with it.
That's really good. Yeah, with weddings, planning one, there's always the talk of saying it's not a wedding, like trying to get away with a discount on the venue, the food, the alcohol, wherever, whatever, the dress even, trying to say it's not a wedding to try and lower the price, because as soon as you say wedding, they hike it up. But yeah, anyway, so lovely to have you here. Thank you very much for your time. And excited to get into this story. Any reason why you feel like we should be talking about this story particularly?
Well, I think it's just a great story. There's
okay.
I was trying to think of another reason than that. There is the fact that there was this other audacious robbery of the Louvre, which was, I think that was in October, and I think that brought a bit of attention on, thefts of interesting places in France, and it sort of reminded me of the fact that everyone likes a good story of a sort of victimless robbery, or at least what some people might think is a victimless robbery. And
do you think it's, sorry to interrupt, do you think it's a little bit like Robin Hood, like robbing from the rich to give to the poor?
Yeah, exactly. I think the Louvre is probably not quite in the same category, because people are stealing priceless cultural artifacts, which clearly is not a good thing. But sort of bank robberies or things like that, I think in many people's minds are in this slightly separate category, where you're not, stopping someone on the street and saying, give me a wallet, or breaking into someone's house. You are kind of planning something and stealing from some big entity that seems a bit anonymous, because, who likes banks? So I think it's the kind of story that, even though clearly it is a crime, it is the kind of story that lots of people like. It's also the kind of thing where, when I was reading about this very much real life story, it's the kind of thing that you thought, this really sounds too much like a movie script. It's like they're talking about the script of a film, but in fact it is something that really happened and was pretty amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, looking forward to delving into it. So this is the type of thing that you have on your podcast?
Exactly, yeah. So there's I try to find stories a little bit like this, where the story itself is just so fun that it means, because I'm a bit lazy, I don't have to do much work in terms of making it into a good story, because it's almost impossible to hear this story and think that was boring.
Right. Yes. And I feel like the title of your name explains exactly why people would listen, but can you expand on the title of your name? English Learning for Curious People, Curious Minds? Curious Minds,
yeah. So really, as you said, it's does what it says on the tin, I hope, which is to help people learn English through interesting stories, through finding out kind of weird and wonderful things about the way the world works, about historical periods, about people from history, and so on. So really, it's sort of a vehicle for whatever I find interesting, and my own experience learning languages, I found it very difficult to get motivated by textbooks and grammar exercises and so on. And I was trying to create something that I wanted. So that is the end result.
Nice, really good. How long has it been going?
Almost 6 years. It's today is the 10th of November. I think, actually, depending on when I count the birth date, it was December 2019. So almost 6 years.
Yeah, very similar actually. Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time. Yeah, cool. Okay, so guys, check out Alastair's podcast, English Learning for Curious Minds.
Exactly.
Yeah. And YouTube and Spotify and all the other podcast apps.
All your major places.
Nice.
I think if you search for English Learning for Curious Minds, you should find it coming up somewhere.
Brilliant.
Hopefully.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's explore this curious history. Where would you like to begin with this story?
Well, maybe I'll begin with a slight disclaimer that I will try to tell this story as accurately as possible, going from my notes and various things that I covered when I did the episode. But if there are minor things that I've missed or date issues or whatever, I hope that your kind listeners will be able to excuse those. It is just a great story as well. So if you think this sounds quite interesting, then go and listen to other episodes about it or watch YouTube videos and stuff. So, but yeah, with that disclaimer out of the way, I guess we'll start in France. In 1976, on the Bastille Day weekend. So the big national holiday in France is on the 14th of July. And if you're planning a bank robbery, I imagine, not that I've ever planned one, but I imagine it would be the ultimate weekend to do it, because you have lots of people who have probably taken extra time off. Everyone's celebrating. No one thinks there's any terrible thing that's going to happen. And so you have this, also it's the 70s, France in the 1970s, in Nice, in July in the south coast of France. I'm sure it would have been a lovely period of the year and lovely time to be. Anyway, when it got to Monday morning, there were rumors that had started to spread throughout the city that the vault at the Société Générale Bank had been broken into. So this is the sort of the place where members of the public can go and rent a security box, and maybe they want to put family jewels or secret papers or cash that they don't want the French authorities to be aware of. If you imagine a kind of a big room full of those little lockers, and thousands of them. So there were rumors that room had been broken into. And clearly, with any kind of rumor about anything happening at a bank, it spreads pretty quickly. And soon enough, there were journalists calling up. There were people standing outside the bank, kind of saying, let us in, because clearly, if your family heirlooms are in there, or your bunch of secret cash, or whatever it is that you have in the vault, you want to go in and check that that it hasn't been taken.
Absolutely. And you said sometimes there's secrets in there, like secret information.
Well, I guess if you have, not that I'm the kind of person to do this, but I imagine if you had secret documents or incriminating evidence about someone doing something, or just anything that you didn't want anyone else to find, then that's probably in theory, it would be a pretty good place to keep it.
In theory, absolutely.
In theory. In practice, it was not. So it got to the day after this big public holiday weekend, and you had all these people standing outside the bank, and the bank manager frantically trying to figure out what's going on. And there was this huge door, 20-ton vault door that was just jammed shut. So they couldn't get in to the vault. They had no idea what was happening. And what had to happen was that someone had to drill through the wall, and they kind of managed to get into the vault. And because once they got in there, they realized that the big vault door had been welded shut. So someone had got, a blowtorch or whatever it would be to weld to close the door so that it wasn't possible for anyone from inside the bank to get in.
Wow. That's clever. Is that so? I mean, I'll learn, but is that potentially so that they had more time to get the things out?
Exactly, yeah. So I guess they chose that weekend because they knew that people wouldn't be poking around the bank, and even if someone was called for an emergency, they'd probably say, "Oh, it can wait until Monday," or someone else can deal with it. Anyway, they managed to get in through this hole that they drilled, and it was as if the place had been robbed, which of course it had. There were papers strewn all over the floor. It was just carnage, and clearly the police thought, right, this looks like it's been a professional job, because it's not just someone who has found the door open and kind of gone in and tested a few of the locks. No, it looked like a serious bit of work.
I mean, if a blowtorch is involved, it's got to be a professional job, right?
Exactly. It certainly was. But the confusing thing was that on the wall, someone had scrawled, they'd written, ni arme, ni violence et sans haine, which means no violence, no weapons. So no weapons, no violence, and without hate. So it's a kind of confusing, cryptic message to leave. Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite actually a little bit smug of them as well, isn't it? It's like, we did this without needing to resort to violence of any kind. And we don't hate you. It's just transactional. Get over it.
Yeah, I don't know. And I haven't been able to find any sort of reliable information on exactly what was intended by that. That is a perfectly plausible explanation. Maybe it was also saying, this was like an innocent type of crime, because we're not there taking anyone hostage. We didn't do this out of hate for anyone. It's just, we're just here, it's a robbery, and that's it. So yeah, it's kind of confusing. And the more people looked around the vault, the more it became clear that whoever had been there had spent quite a lot of time there, because there was, there's a table, there was evidence of like ravioli, and this being France in the 1970s, there was red wine, there were cigarettes. People had clearly spent quite a long time in the vault, going through everything. And they had managed to take an estimated 50 million francs worth of stuff, which is about 40 million euros in today's money. So a pretty serious haul. Although they didn't manage to take everything. They only managed to open around 10% of the lockers in there, because getting in is one thing, but of course being able to open each of the lockers is another thing. So
right. Are they code like lockers?
I think they had
the code.
I think they had a key.
Okay.
They were key-based ones, but I guess it was some pretty serious locks.
Just to pause for a second. So they had all this time. They were getting a huge payday from this, and they only had ravioli. Is ravioli known as being extravagant in Italy, or I would assume it's kind of like just potato, the Brits?
Well, I guess maybe if they were doing another robbery after the first one and they had a 40 million euro budget worth of stuff, they might have gone for something slightly fancier. But I think there was also evidence of bread.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess their focus was on calorie boosting rather than, having caviar or anything that could be more expensive, potentially more delicious, but harder to prepare.
Yeah. So it would have been cold ravioli?
I think, although again, let's go back to my disclaimer. I think I read somewhere that they had also brought in a little kind of picnic fire thing.
A stove, like a camping stove.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow, that is incredible. Maybe they could have used the canister from the blowtorch.
Maybe they did.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but perhaps they could have done. That would have been clever.
Yeah. And one more sidetrack. Ravioli, that is the plural of raviolo, right?
Yes.
So when they say on a menu raviolo, you're getting one piece. That came up recently for me. Is that right?
Yeah, it'd be a quite big piece, but yeah.
A big piece, but one.
Unless it was, yeah.
Yeah, okay, just checking, yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
Carry on.
I think they I believe, had a tin of ravioli plural.
Plural, good, yeah.
Anyway, so back to the vault. And what the bank employees and the police figured out, soon enough, was that the way that the people had got into the vault was through a tunnel that had been dug in one wall. And they went through the tunnel and realized that it led to the municipal sewers. So the sewer system that takes wastewater away from the city.
Sorry to butt in right now, mid-conversation, but you were just exposed to a lovely phrase, and I want to teach you that phrase properly. To do so, I've created a PDF covering the definition, example sentences, context in which natives use it, which is really valuable for you, collocations, meaning the words that natives use before and after a phrase, and then a couple of good quiz questions to help lock that phrase in to your long-term memory. With this knowledge, you will go from having heard a new phrase to being 110% confident in using it when speaking English yourself. And this PDF is not just covering one phrase, but 10 phrases from this very conversation. You can grab it by scanning the QR code on screen right now, or clicking the link in the description box or the pinned comment below. That link will take you to this page. Fill out your name and email to sign up to my mailing list, and then I'll send it directly to your inbox.
And they kind of followed it through and realized this was a real professional job. There was an 8-meter tunnel from the wall of the vault through to the sewers. And that was how they'd done it. But there were no signs or anything, nothing that the police could go on. They knew what had been done, how it had been done, but they didn't have any evidence of who had done it.
Other than that they eat ravioli. Right.
Yeah.
It's very Italian job, like using the sewer. Like, I don't know if they had a Mini Cooper in the sewer, but they...
So this, I don't think they did. The tunnels were pretty small. So I think they're only enough to fit one man through at a time. But
or woman.
However, as we'll come to in a bit, I don't think women. So it was this amazing sort of story that was obviously all over the newspapers in France, because even knowing what we do now, or rather what your listeners do now about the crime, it's sort of an amazing story. And the robbers were given the nickname of the sewer gang by the papers.
Sewer gang.
The sewer gang.
Would you be proud of that? I mean,
I don't think
you've
you'd
just
worry
done...
too much if you've got 40 million euros in your.
Oh, I don't know. A lot of very wealthy people care about what people think of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sewer gang. I wouldn't be happy with that.
No.
No, the tunnel escapists, the sewer gang. It's just, laden in poo. Yeah. Okay. Have you got a sort of was it pseudonym? No. What's it called? A fake name
Do I have a fake name?
that you would like to use? I was about to say, if you were a criminal.
Sorry. I don't know. I guess it depends on what kind of crime I committed.
But do you know what I mean? Is it pseudonym? Or is it another word?
I think a pseudonym would be, it wouldn't quite work for that one.
A fictitious name, especially one used by an author. Okay.
Yeah.
So not quite. But yeah, so would you have a name that you'd like to go by if you did naughty things?
Oh, yeah, it depends on the crime. I guess maybe I'll wait until I commit my first major crime that makes national news, and then I'll pass comment on whether I think that the nickname the newspapers have given to me is appropriate.
Very good. Very good. Politically argued. Yes. Nice.
Anyway, the sewer gang was obviously front page news for a long time, and the police were kind of hunting for clues, and the first people that suspicion fell on were local organized crime bosses. So that part of south of France has quite a sort of vibrant organized crime scene. I don't know if you ever saw the French Connection films.
No.
About smuggling in. It's amazing. Yeah, is it 1970s, 1980s? Can't quite remember. But American films about heroin being brought into the south of France, into Marseille, I think it is, and they kind of assumed, given the level of professionalism, that organized criminals were behind it. But all of the organized criminals that they thought it could have been, they all had watertight alibis, and it just wasn't them. So the police didn't really know what to do. And it wasn't until several months after the crime that there were certain clues that they had patched together about basically people acting suspiciously. There were two men who had been stopped by the police in the middle of the night in the lead up to the crime, kind of taking out sort of what looked like criminal equipment, basically, like crowbars and stuff. And they'd given a pretty dodgy reason for doing so. There was another report of police being called because there were a group of men who were acting suspiciously outside a house in the countryside to the north of Nice. And those two things didn't necessarily seem like terrible crimes on their own because they weren't crimes. There's no crime of just looking a bit dodgy. But when put together, and with the knowledge of what happened with the bank, they went and searched one of these houses, and they found what essentially had been used as a staging house for this for the crime. They found the same kind of bottles of wine, the same cigarettes, all that kind of stuff. So they knew there was that link.
Right. Same diet, basically.
I think same wine and tobacco based diet. I'm not sure about the ravioli, but they definitely saw all of the signs. And there was also, I think they found evidence of the same kind of, I'll politely call it soil, from the sewers in the in that house. So they knew that house was
the same soil.
Linked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great bit of evidence. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Anyway, the circle was sort of closing in, and then shortly after that, there was a man who walked into another bank and was trying to sell gold ingots, like the bars of gold,
Oh, right.
that stupidly were numbered and actually came from that bank heist. So it seems like a slightly unusual thing for him to have done. Maybe he was being used just to kind of test whether these things could be exchanged for cash through official channels. Maybe there was some other reason. It's not completely clear.
Currently, it sounds like he's an amateur.
Yeah,
No, yeah, making me think it wasn't a professional job. But okay,
No.
okay.
But that person, I think, was relatively low level, and then
Right.
he quickly names other people, who then name this man called Albert Spaggiari. And when the police hear that name, I think their first reaction is, who? Because they're expecting the name of someone that they knew, someone who was perhaps one of the suspects, someone who was some kind of crime boss. But this guy was a local wedding photographer. He had committed a crime in the past, but that was when he was, I think, in his early 20s in Vietnam, and he had a kind of spotless record. Really, he was well liked. He was married. He had a local business. He just a kind of happy-go-lucky Frenchman who liked wandering around and smoking cigars and
Taking photos at weddings.
taking photos at weddings. Exactly.
Yeah.
So they thought this is unusual, but he was named as the mastermind of the entire thing. And what's more, at the time, he didn't really seem to be trying to hide. He was, when the police found this out, he was on a trip to Japan with the mayor of Nice, some sort of cultural trip. So he hadn't gone into hiding or anything like that. And then as soon as he comes back, he's arrested. And of course, initially he says, nothing to do with me. But then they raid his farmhouse and find loads of guns and ammunition, and they find all of the kind of tools that were clearly used at the robbery. So he, he doesn't really have any way to get out of that. He's a bit stuck.
Yeah. Even with the best lawyer in town, I suppose he can afford now, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure about his lawyers or anything. As you'll realize in a minute, he doesn't actually need one as much as other criminals might. But
interesting.
He initially doesn't. He initially denies it. Then, when they find all that very clear evidence, he says, "Okay, you got me." But he doesn't agree to collaborate with the police at all. Until, like a very, like the chivalrous man that he would like to be portrayed to be, the police say, "Well, we're going to put your wife in prison too." And then he says, "Okay, now I'll tell you exactly what happened."
Right. Okay.
So
classic move for getting the answers out of somebody.
Yeah.
Leverage their emotional side.
Precisely. Yeah. And he starts collaborating with the police. He tells them a little bit about the plot and how it worked. He revealed that he'd found out that the vault didn't have an alarm system because it was assumed that it was so far underground, and the only way to get to it was through the bank itself, that it just simply didn't need one.
Right, there was only one way in.
There's only one way in,
and
it was this massive door.
Yeah,
and he realized that he could get in through the sewers. He tried to sort of figure out if he could do it on his own, and realized it would be such a big job that he couldn't. So he got together with various organized criminals and basically said, "I'll manage the project, and I'll give you a share of the spoils."
Yeah, and called themselves the Sewer Gang.
So yeah, no, I think that was what. I'm not sure that's what they called themselves. I'm not sure that would be a funny sort of proposition. Right, guys, I've got a great idea. I'm going to rob a bank under the condition that we call ourselves the Sewer Gang.
I'm imagining it's on the whiteboard behind him, next to the pinned sort of scraps that you put together for a heist. The Sewer Gang. Yeah. No, probably not. And if it was up to them, they would probably choose a better name.
I think they would. I mean, in French, it's Le Gang des Égoutiers, which perhaps, I mean, everything sounds a little bit better in French, but
it does.
Maybe that does sound better in French.
Perhaps
French
it really
listeners
does.
can weigh in on that.
Yeah. Can you say it one more time? It's beautiful.
Le Gang des Égoutiers.
Wow. Are you able to speak French yourself?
Yes, I am. I studied at French at university.
Ah, nice. So you've got Italian, French, English. Anything else?
Bit of Swedish, bit of Mandarin.
Oh my goodness me!
Yeah.
Wow, very impressive, amazing.
A bit of
well
being not a vast amount of, but in some cases an increasing amount of, in some cases a decreasing amount of.
Right.
But so back to Spaggiari, he realized that this was not alarmed. He had a cunning way of testing it, which was by actually renting a deposit box himself, and then he wanted to put an alarm clock inside his deposit box and set it for the middle of the night when he knew no one would be in there, to basically see if when he set that off, it set off all the systems.
Brilliant idea.
Yeah, clever guy.
That's really good.
And presumably he came back the next day or the after that, realized that nothing had happened, and therefore his plan could go ahead.
I wonder nowadays. I imagine that they inspect everything. Don't you think?
I guess things are more secure now, although maybe perhaps as the Louvre stuff shows, not all that secure.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Okay. Just imagining a very comical, like Mr. Bean style alarm clock in a lock. Yeah.
I'm not sure what kind of alarm clock he used, but perhaps we can let's assume it was the Mr. Bean style one.
Good.
And so at this point we're kind of winter, I guess, 1976. So he is in police custody, and he's awaiting trial, really. And in March of the following year, he's in the judge's office because he's been going to have lots of different meetings with the judge to talk to them about what happened. And he also claims to have information about corrupt officials in the police force. So when he's in this narrow judge's office, he says to the judge, I need to show you something. And he brings out some paper that he's written on. And he says, can we just get rid of the other police officers, my kind of protection people, because I need to talk to you about something that is important. And the judge knows that policemen can't always be trusted to keep the contents of a conversation completely private. So he says, okay, yeah, please, everyone out the room. I've got to talk to Spaggiari alone. And Spaggiari passes him the paper, and the judge kind of looks at this and can't really make sense of it. Sort of, there's all these different drawings and arrows, and he's not really sure what's going on. And before he knows it, Spaggiari has run to the window, opened the window, and jumped out of the window. And he lands on a parked car that is down below. Rolls out. He's 8 meters above the ground, by the way.
8 meters. Is that like the second, third floor? 8 meters.
I think it's something like that. It's pretty high, yeah. I mean, you don't want to be jumping out of 8 meters unless you've got somewhere important to go.
Yeah. 8 times a small person, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty serious height. So lands on a car, rolls over and rushes to the other side of the road, jumps onto a motorbike that is waiting for him, and boom, he's off.
Wow, that is incredible. That is absolutely insane. So the judge just couldn't understand the scribbles. Now that is actually quite funny. I always see it in TV shows how, like a lawyer or something, they look at the paper for a second and then they understand the situation fully. They remove the 2 minutes of reading or whatever is needed.
Yeah, that would be bad TV.
Yeah, it would be bad TV, but yeah. So that's a shame he couldn't do that though, the judge.
No. And I think it was, I believe it was made deliberately hard to understand.
Oh, yeah.
So the judge was kind of peering at it, trying to make sense of it, but he couldn't.
Yeah, that is crazy. When you were leading us to that moment, I was thinking, surely he's not going to attack the judge or do anything mischievous in this moment. Crazy. He jumped out the window, landed on a car, rolled across it, jumped on a motorbike, and off he goes.
And as you can imagine, the French newspapers, went crazy about this story.
Yeah.
And not only has he masterminded this improbable robbery, he's also not an organized crime boss or anyone, but he's also escaped. And he maybe you can put a link to what he looks like somewhere in the show or something. But he looks like a kind of glamorous rock star from the 1970s or so. He doesn't he really fits the picture of kind of glamorous man from south of France.
Right. Okay.
And he really starts leaning into this image that the papers have created of him, of this sort of gentleman thief and so on. And one of the things he does is he publicly sends 5,000 francs to the owner of the damaged car, of the car that he damaged when he jumped out of the window, as an apology, let this cover your expenses. Sorry, Alastair Spaggiari. So he kind of loves the public image and this story that is being created about him.
And I imagine the public are starting to love him for that reason.
Yeah, but you have this kind of contradiction, I guess, where he gets tried in absentia and sentenced to I think it's life imprisonment if he was ever to be captured again. Right. So he knows that he can't, if he is found by the police, it's curtains. But at the same time, he's grown completely addicted to the fame and people talking about him. So he wants to be in the public eye, but he knows that everything he does that brings him closer to, brings him more attention, that means he's got a greater chance of ending up in prison. And
Alastair, what did I say earlier about how it's important, to anybody, the image of the person in front of the society? So even though, he's got all this money, he still wants a bit of the attention and the right kind of limelight.
He certainly does. And he goes on the run, basically. He goes to Italy, he goes to Spain, he goes to South America, he has plastic surgery. But throughout all of this, he's still trying to kind of get interviews with journalists and stuff. And there's this one interview, which it's on YouTube, I think, that I watched of him, and he's there in big sunglasses. He's got a big beard now, smoking a big cigar, and he's talking about how he wants to live the rest of his life, with beautiful women, drinking champagne, smoking cigars. And he also he knows how much people like the story of the robbery. So he goes into extreme detail telling people how it was done, really. So he talks about how they were working for 3 months. Every night they would go and dig the sewer. They got completely covered in filth. And the other interesting thing that he reveals is that their plan was almost found out, because there was going to be a visit by the French, is it Prime Minister or President? I can't remember which one. But it was Gérard d'Estaing who was going to visit Nice, I think shortly before the Bastille Day weekend. So the police were going to be doing a sweep of the the sewers and all of the the roads around that area. And I think his presidential motorcade or whatever it would be, however he was planning to get there, went directly past the bank. So they thought the whole thing was going to be, going to be found out, but somehow it wasn't. And it was also complicated by the fact that weekend it was super wet in Nice, and so the sewers were completely full, and they were wading, right up to their nose, really, in
their nose
in what's in sewers. So it for many reasons it almost didn't work, but it did.
It certainly did.
And
was he the wedding photographer at the beginning of this?
Yeah, he's the wedding photographer.
I guess he doesn't do that anymore.
Well, it is sort of a sad end to the story, unfortunately, in that he died when he was 56 of lung cancer. He was like a big heavy smoker, and he was never. I think he was never able to come back to France. Was never caught, and died in 1989. So it was 12 years after the robbery.
Right.
And I watched a few interviews with people who said that they were his friends or were kind of even part of the robbery or the getaway. And they kind of paint this picture of a man who was a bit kind of sad and broken, really, by the end, because he'd done this big thing that everyone knew him for, and that had made him very wealthy, but he couldn't really spend any of this money other than to try to escape from the police. What he really wanted to be known for was being kind of a gentleman and some kind of Arsène Lupin kind of gentleman thief type person, but he sort of missed his chance, really, because if he collaborated with the police and not tried to run away, maybe he might have got, I don't know, 3 or 4 years or something like that, because it was not, no one was actually harmed in the robbery. It was, I think it wouldn't have been classified as a kind of violent, serious crime, but what he decided to do meant that he was convicted for life and couldn't do anything. So a fun story, but has a slightly sad ending.
Yeah, right. Thank you very much for telling that. It was very well told. I was gripped all the way through, so appreciate that. But a couple of follow-up questions that I believe you might not have an answer to. But the money that he has after he dies, where does that go? Like, if does he have a will? Can you put what is not technically yours or what you've stolen in a will?
I don't know. I guess any of the money that he would have had from the robbery, it wouldn't be in a bank. Otherwise, they would have frozen it. So I guess if he did have any assets, they were probably cash or gold bars or something that were just given to his next of kin. And another complication is that there was another person who claimed that Spaggiari actually had nothing to do with it. There was a gangster from Marseille who, in 2010, claimed that he was the mastermind of the entire thing. But I'm not sure that many people believe that, because there is quite a bit of evidence tying Spaggiari. And Spaggiari, but Spaggiari definitely wanted people to think it was him. After the police decided it was him, he was very happy for everyone to think that was me.
Right. Yeah. Okay. But maybe that other guy was part of the gang.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was a serious gangster.
But was he part of the sewer gang?
Oh, part of the sewer gang? I don't believe so. No.
Oh, okay.
I think he was a sort of a boss.
Okay.
Rather than a digger.
Yeah. He's not in the trenches. Yeah.
No.
Wow. Would you wade through sewage to rob a bank? No, let's change it to get £2 million. Would you do it for £2 million? Wade through sewage up to your nose?
I mean, is it a crime that I'm committing?
Well, there's no violence involved, and you write on the wall that it's just transactional.
Well, maybe as a good citizen, I would say I would probably wade through sewage for £2 million if I knew that I wasn't going to be put in prison afterwards. But if I thought there was a chance, if I thought I was going to be put in prison, I would probably not do it because I don't intend on living I've lived a relatively uncriminal life up to now, and I'm intending on continuing that way. But we'll see.
I'm glad you're intending to continue that way. Yeah. Very, very good to hear. Okay. Fantastic story. Yeah. No, just purely because that's disgusting. I don't think I could handle that. I mean, I also think he peaked too early because, as you said, he got a bit sad and depressed. It's like a pop star going viral at 18 and then always chasing that in the rest of their years. Like, once you've done it once, you could go again, but you're risking everything. So it's like asking, are you willing to wade through sewerage every 5-10 years of your life to get the next big hit of adrenaline?
Yeah. It's the French, the French Bieber.
Yeah, the French Bieber. But yeah, very cool story. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Alastair, for telling us about that story and for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Charlie. It's been great to talk, and I hope that people thought that was a fun story. The best part of my job is finding stories like this where I don't even really need to worry about how the story is told so much because it kind of tells itself.
You told it brilliantly. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, for listening to the end of this episode. I've been Charlie, your host of the British English Podcast. Thank you, Alastair, once more. And see you again soon on the British English Podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye.